Sparky, I think he's a symbol of one figure that all of us in the student body can always get around.
Sparky represents all the fun that ASU has to offer, and he's just a good representation of Arizona State University.
I think he's some sort of gymnast for sure.
Secretly Michael Crow in disguise, a total sex symbol and a sexy beast.
The face of God?
A man of integrity and knows how to fork them.
I watched him on the ground down the sidelines. Here on the windswept plains of Oklahoma.
People touch my butt a lot. Like, I'll walk in the student section and then they just like grab.
Just you get a little bit of alcohol in you, and then you forget that there's like a teenage kid under there, is Sparky.
Sometimes I'll walk out into my living room and Sparky's just sitting there. Can't say it's not a little spooky, a little sexual sometimes.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure to be at Arizona State University, the home of Sparky the Sun Devil.
Sparky the Sun Devil is Arizona State's beloved mascot here in Tempe. Back in the 1880s, we started out as the Tempe Normal School, so our mascot was the Normals. After that, we transitioned to the Owls, then to the Bulldogs. We had a student vote for a new mascot, so then we became the Sun Devils. So we didn't actually have Sparky as our mascot. That was created by a Disney worker in the spite of Walt Disney, so he kind of tried to draw him when he was angry, and by doing that, he essentially created our mascot, Sparky. So the first ever Sparky was actually a gymnast, full open face suit, essentially a much better Sparky than we could ever be. I am one of 6 Sparkies, and we are for the Sun Devil Athletics section of Sparkies. So there's a bunch of different Sparkies across campus, but we are the only ones that will do any athletic events as well as any community events.
My name is Nicole Richards. Do I have to give my last name?
No, just like, what's your relationship with him?
Oh, I'm his girlfriend.
What?
Well, I don't date Sparky. I date Walker. My first impression of Walker was, wow, this guy's hilarious. I met him at a get-together for Advos, like officially, and he was just like really great with crowds and was really great at like hyping everyone up.
He is very sure of himself, which I admire a lot.
He listens well. I mean, he knows what he's doing.
What's really admirable about him is that he's not afraid to stand up for what he believes in and speak his mind, 2 things that I think makes Walker who he is.
Nicole calls me Sparkles. Our group chat is called Sparkle Gang.
I like to say he's like the meme type Sparky. That's the best way I like to describe him.
So it's definitely pretty cool knowing my roommate is Sparky. I just kind of assumed that Sparky was a real person that like only was in the suit, kind of like Batman. And now that I know, it's sort of like when you watch The Dark Knight, you know, like, oh, there's also a Bruce Wayne, like he's got his own stuff going on. It's most fun when I get to see him sort of in the process of putting on Sparky or becoming Sparky. He likes to come out of his room sometimes with just the helmet on and his underwear.
There's nobody on the team that's as passionate about it as Walker is.
Nasty ass shit up.
Where you guys going?
No, find people I know in suits.
Put in a hey.
I like being a dick to all of my handlers. I think that's fun, and I think it's fun when they do it back. The handler is the person who like ensures that you don't die, is basically their responsibility. And so sometimes we'll have other Sparkies as the handler, and sometimes I'll be the handler for other Sparkies. No, it looks all right. Turn around.
Oh, you look so stupid.
Yeah, you're fine. You're good. You're good.
It's really getting into soaking into the crowd and not trying to fire up themselves. Just gotta give it to
You can send to just go to your prize store, buy Coca-Cola products to get a secret word, and download the Sun Devil Rewards app to redeem your free sweepstakes.
It's kind of fun walking around with Sparky and doing that, being his handler, because you sort of have the responsibility of making sure that he's in the right place at the right time.
Out, 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 out. Go back, go back, go back, go back, go back, go back. Go back.
All right, basically what happened is that the engineering college had their Sparky out, which is a big no-no.
So I can tell Walker as a Sparky, I look for the butt first because I think he has like a pretty distinct, you know, back end.
I think everyone can really see Walker's dance moves as Sparky. We also have a little pinky touch that we do, so I can always tell when it's Walker.
When my mom talks about me, she usually is like, "Did you know my son is the mascot?" She's like, "Oh, I have 2 kids. One like lives in New York, and another one's in college at ASU. He's the mascot." And, like everyone she talks to, she talks about me being the mascot. Being anonymous is the most important thing about being a mascot. I've been terrible at it. Students, when you tell them that you're Sparky, they're like, "Whoa, that's cool." And then they just forget because they're like, "All right, that's it." But no, I've been terrible at being anonymous.
He told me that he was Sparky. It wasn't something that he's great at keeping quiet.
I think he just probably texted me and told me.
I found out, I think, right when he got the position.
I think I knew during the time that he was trying out to be Sparky.
I found out about Walker being Sparky, I want to say that same day that I met him.
I really hope we don't score a touchdown right now.
You'll take your suit off and it's literally like you can wring out the sweat, like it's that bad. And people are like, "Oh, do you have a fan in there?" And we don't. I think the hottest event I ever did was actually one of my first, when I was a junior. I did an event at Barrett, and I think it was probably like 107 degrees. And I felt really close to passing out. But frankly, I kind of like that we don't, because we just embrace how awful it is.
I'm the one who started the push-ups for football, and I did it as almost like as a gag in Houston. They had a live cougar as their mascot, so I took a little chance to foot in the sand and made a line, said, "Yep, come on," and all of a sudden the cougar decided to raise its legs, and they said, "You better get out." So fortunately we did that, but then I started doing the push-ups, and everyone's like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." So we had 70,000 people there. And they're counting 1, 2, I mean, you can't get a bigger rush.
3, 4, Our first football game, we had someone just do not great push-ups by our standards.
When we get criticized for push-ups, we're getting mostly criticized from the fans. But like there are definitely times that like the criticism at not at Walker, but there's like criticism just at certain people specifically, or as a team as a whole, when it is deserved.
Jumping onto the push-up board is arguably the most terrifying thing that you'll do as Sparky, and that's the only time where I am Sparky where I actually like feel butterflies because I get nervous. So when you stand up, it doesn't feel very balanced, and the fact that you can't see anything from like here down, you don't have that depth perception of anything, and everyone is watching you, so you got to be like really careful.
When he ran and jumped onto the board, I was like, "That's my boo."
And then I think arguably the scariest part besides jumping on is then jumping off, because they lower it and you just kind of got to leap, and you can't step forward because it makes it really difficult on the people holding it up. So you really have to like jump out, and the jump can be pretty far. I've almost fallen a couple times on that jump.
We go down over here. Recovered by the Beavers.
Like if I know that he's kind of like nervous about it, or if it's like a game that really means a lot to him, then I'm like, "Oh, the pressure's on," and like I'm kind of nervous for him.
Yeah, I would say I still get nervous. I think because there's at least for football, there's this lull where you're waiting for the band to walk out, and then you're just kind of standing there in the tunnel, not really doing a whole lot. So that's when you like start hearing the crowd, and you can hear people like walking up above you, which is it's pretty cool, but it does make me a little bit nervous. They have a lot for our pregame, so it's fun, but sometimes you are a bit nervous. But in the moment, I'd say I'm not really thinking about it. It usually becomes pretty easy.
ASU! 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 ASU!
I think one of the biggest benefits of being Sparky for me personally is sort of the confidence that you get. It really helps me in like my public speaking and doing that kind of stuff, as well as any job interviews I have. And especially being the team captain, you're the leader of those people, and it's like a really cool feeling. It's kind of hard to describe, but it's a huge confidence booster.
When you can get a crowd in the palm of your hands by doing something, it's as big a rush as you can get.
It's always super exciting when I get to see Walker doing his thing as Sparky, just because I know that he's loving it. You can tell that from the way that he's acting as the mascot.
Walker's a great Sparky because he's really funny and he's not afraid to make fun of himself.
He really just exudes the overall image that like ASU wants the Sparky to present.
He's just there to amp up the crowd, and I think college students, even if they think they're above that, they love Sparky.
And you know, sometimes when you walk around at school, you know, you get a little insecure. You know, you see like people in fraternities or sororities, you see people doing really cool things, and then it always comes back to me like, you know, I'm one of the Sparkies, like the official Sparkies, so to speak, and you know, there's only 6 of us, and that's, you know, a very coveted position. You know, if you can, in front of 70,000 people, jump onto a board and do some push-ups, usually I feel like I can do anything else.
Arizona State University.